Number 10, Thomas Jefferson. Born in Virginia in 1743, Jefferson was to become one of the most influential figures in US history and the country's third president. But he's mostly remembered by die-hard British monarchists for driving King George III mad. In his youth, Thomas filled his head with radical ideas. By the time he was in his 30s, he was already agitating for a change in the American colonies. Jefferson argued that the British Parliament had no moral authority over America and that the people of the New World owed no taxes to the British Crown. When things turned sour, he blamed the ensuing War of Independence on George III. Number 9, Wendy Williams. The daytime talk show host told her viewers that Meghan will regret cutting off her dad, Thomas, from seeing his 2 grandchildren. Wendy supported Thomas when she spoke to the press, claiming, "I'm Team Thomas on the particular thing. He's an old man, he's apparently not well, he goes in and out of swollen ankles, he doesn't look really good at 76. He's got 2 grandchildren that he'll never meet. Meghan does not have to accept him all the way in her family, but maybe a little hideout one day in Malibu and invite him over with no press involved would be nice." Number 8, Bethany Frankel. The Real Housewives of New York City star criticized Markle in response to a Twitter user who suggested the Duchess was treated unfairly by the palace and press following that infamous Oprah interview. "Cry me a river," Frankel tweeted. "The flight of being a game show host, fairly unknown actress, to suffering in a palace with tiaras and 7-figure weddings for 2 whole years to being a household name." Number 7, Walt Disney. Disney's first feature-length film, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, set the template in 1937. Snow is a lonely princess waiting for her prince. She likes to sing and brush the floor and smile at bluebirds, but is otherwise defended entirely by her title and her looks. Until very recently, most of the Disney princesses who followed had been despairingly similar, though as graceful, timid, and invariably white, curiously sexless victims in an elaborate dresses, constantly in need of rescuing by a handsome man in a crown. Number 7, John Travolta. Princess Diana loved to dance, so when she and Prince Charles went to the US on an official visit in the fall of 1985, some bright sparks in the White House administration invited John Travolta along to the event. As the clock struck midnight on that November night, Diana felt a tap on her shoulder and turned around to see Danny Zuko requesting her hand. With her prince looking on, Diana obliged, and the images of her gliding about with Travolta quickly flashed around the world. The contrast between the two, epitomized by Charles, and the glamorous and seductive new one could not have been more starkly exposed, with Diana seemingly happy beside the two. It was a further step into her rise of global celebrity, and by all accounts, Prince Charles hated every moment of it. Number 5, Keisha Shante. It wasn't just Americans that took umbrage with Prince Harry's remarks regarding the First Amendment. Keisha Shante, host of Entertainment Tonight Canada, also joined the likes of Meghan McCain and Sean Hannity by attacking the prince for commenting on an issue he fully admitted he knew little about on a podcast, Armchair Expert. The presenter, who resides in the United States, told ET Canada viewers, "You have to respect the laws and constitution. I think it's strange to be upset over paparazzi given the very public life that he's lived in the UK his whole life. It is strange to me because you have this life and you chose to move to LA. I live in LA. This town is completely insane and it's a beast when it comes to paparazzi and a beast when it comes to the press." Shante then offered some advice for the Duke of Sussex. Essentially, stay in your lane. Number 4, Candace Owens. Another American talk show host and political commentator on the hate train is Candace Owens, who also chooses Twitter as her preferred platform for trolling. Owens shared her opinion on Meghan Markle and Harry's decision to leave the royal family and move to the US. Isolating an individual away from their family and friends, using suicide threats to get what you want, these are classic signs of an emotionally abusive relationship, but we aren't supposed to suspend rationality because of racism. She added, "Dear Harry, Meghan is not the victim, you are." Number 3, Sharon Osbourne. "I'm with you, I stand by you. People forget that you're paid for your opinion and that you're just speaking your truth." Sharon Osbourne made it crystal clear whose corner she was fighting for during the extremely one-sided Piers Morgan vs. Meghan Markle battle, with a tweet defending her former America's Got Talent colleague. And the backlash she suffered for supporting Morgan's behavior on the set of Good Morning Britain didn't appear to deter the one-time rock manager either. Meghan Markle. Markle was just what the royal family needed. A smart, mixed-race woman with modern values and concerns, a strong identity, and her own independent career. As such, in retrospect, matters were probably doomed from the start, as the press focused on her dysfunctional and attention-seeking father, and the usual suspects in the British media began to snipe at her for having the audacity to do things in her own way. Pressure began to build on the couple. Following the very private birth of baby Archie, the mood in Britain press turned increasingly sour. How dare Meghan not offer up pictures of her child to raise the circulation of the nation's tabloids? Number 1, Princess Diana. The feud between Princess Diana and Prince Charles got pretty nasty. As soon as they got married in 1981, they started having marital problems, eventually separating in 1992. After the divorce, Diana gave the press recordings that revealed infidelity and her attempt to take her own life. These are secrets no one knew about Prince Diana until after her death. Obviously, all the drama between the Prince and Princess of Wales didn't make Queen Elizabeth very happy either. Princess Diana would reveal much more information about her rocky relationship with Prince Charles during an interview. Extremely upset, the Queen sent a letter to Diana requesting that she divorce her son, which was eventually granted in 1996. And those are 10 celebrities who hate the royal family. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this whole situation, and I'll be seeing you soon.
10 celebrities who hate the Queen. Mick Jagger. As reported in the Telegraph, he excited Princess Margaret according to Jagger's biographer. She was so fascinated with the rock star she built a villa next to him on an island where they indulged in partying. There is no record of them actually having an affair, but there was a flirtation going on there definitely via the Daily Mail. The Queen was reportedly not happy about him, fearing scandals or just general moral corruption. Meghan Markle. According to the Queen's strict standards, everything is wrong with Markle. She was married before, and her celebrity status added even more drama to the British tabloids. In short, everything she does seems to be a mistake, firmly leading Prince Harry away from his family or the throne. The fact that Harry and she formally stepped down from the royal roles implies much. Margaret Thatcher. The complicated relationship between the infamous Iron Lady and the Queen was depicted many times on screens and on paper. The Netflix series The Crown emphasizes respect the two women developed through the years, despite the numerous disputes, personal and official, they shared. According to Sunday Times, things got very complicated in 1986 when Thatcher refused to impose economic sanctions on South Africa, opposing other Commonwealth members and the institution itself, which didn't sit well with the Queen, taking Commonwealth organization very seriously. The Queen felt Thatcher was destroying everything that was important to her, including their home country, and labeled Thatcher's policy as uncaring, confrontational, and divisive. After she was pushed out of Parliament by her own cabinet, the Queen invited her to a horse race event to show some support. Thatcher refused the invitation, but as reported by The Independent, felt flattered. Chinese officials. In 2015, the Chinese president at the time had a UK trip that did not quite go as planned. According to CNN, the Queen's complaints were actually caught on camera by a member of her staff. She made a remark to a Metropolitan Police officer that she found Chinese officials quite rude, especially during their talk with British Ambassador Barbara Woodward. Jacqueline Kennedy. Dislike between Queen Elizabeth II and Jacqueline was reciprocal, with both ladies being suspicious towards each other. Problems started in 1961 when the Kennedy couple visited Buckingham Palace and allegedly made some harsh comments about the appearance of the palace and the Queen herself. Jacqueline found the Queen's attire modest and not in line with the latest fashion, while to her, the palace seemed outdated and worn out. But the conflict was stirred before the two women even met. They disputed over the guest list at the protocol dinner. Jacqueline wanted to bring her sister, divorcee Princess Li, which did not sit well with the Queen, who opposed any kind of separation between married couples. Li did attend the dinner at the end, but as a way of retaliation, the Queen withheld invitations for Princess Margaret and Princess Marina, both of whom Jacqueline was eager to meet. She stated that she felt uncomfortable throughout the dinner, thinking, quote, "The Queen resented me." Camilla Parker Bowles. It is no secret how Camilla Parker Bowles, now the Duchess of Cornwall, came to the royal family. According to The Insider, the Queen and Prince Philip did not attend the ceremony of her and Charles, although they did visit the reception after it. Biographer Tom Bauer claimed in his book on the royal family that the Queen never approved of Camilla from the start, calling her a wicked woman on one occasion and stating that she did not want anything to do with her. Boris Johnson. Prime Minister Boris Johnson made his very first mistake during his very first audience with Queen Elizabeth II in 2019. Breaking protocol, he told everyone she stated that she does not understand why anyone would want to be Prime Minister. He was consequently told off by palace staff. Johnson later threw the Queen into quite an unpleasant position by demanding Parliament to be shut down for weeks, preventing a veto on a no-deal Brexit. Sarah Ferguson. The Queen's resentment towards her daughter-in-law Sarah Ferguson started in the 90s, just before the divorce between Ferguson and Prince Andrew. According to Good Housekeeping, the marriage itself was bound to fail. With Prince Andrew being the Queen's favorite son, Ferguson stood no chance. She did the worst crime a respectable woman could commit, being followed by paparazzi and pictured on holiday with her lover while still married to the royal husband. Ferguson was then excluded from the royal family, stepping into the already familiar role of the royal renegade. She did push it quite far, trying to sell access to her former husband to a News of the World reporter at some point, which cost her an invite to the royal wedding of William and Kate. Donald Trump. He continued his childish tantrums even when meeting the royals, managing to breach the protocol on several occasions on his visit in 2018. Although the rumors about him being late for his meeting with the Queen turned out to be false, he was actually late by only 1 minute. He turned his back on and walked ahead of the Queen during their protocol stroll past the family and officials, creating a storm of British disapproval. Princess Diana. Her emotional and sincere reactions puzzled the Queen, and while she was trying to be supportive at first, there were just too many things she did not approve of. One of the things Princess Diana did differently was how she brought up her 2 sons. Unlike other mothers in the British royal family, she wanted to spend as much time as she could with the children, which confused the Queen and broke royal protocol. According to Good Housekeeping, Diana's choice to publish a biography, Diana, Her True Story, in 1992 aggravated the Queen a lot. Revealing too much of one's personal life is never an option for a royal, especially not talking about a flawed marriage or an imperfect relationship with the Queen.
Russell Brand, a famous comedian, actor, and on top of that, the man is not fond of the royal family, which he does not make a secret. Russell has a YouTube show called The Truths. He used this show to throw some shade at the royal family in a heavy fashion with the following quote: "I mean, in England we have the Queen for F's sakes," Brand said. "We have to call her things like Your Majesty, like she's all majestic. She's just a person. Your Highness, what the F is that? She's high up above us at the top of a class pyramid on a shelf of money with her own face on it." The Daily Mail, who printed columns from Brand's book, asked if the provocative comic could sink any lower. He could. Brand criticized the Queen's German heritage. "We should be calling her Miss Windsor," he said. "In fact, that's not even her real name. They changed it in the conflict to distract us from the inconvenient fact that they were as German as the enemy. Her actual name is Miss Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. It's the most German thing I've ever heard. She might as well have been called Miss Bratwurst Kraut." I don't want to read between the lines too much here, but it seems like he's not a fan. Danny Boyle. The director Danny Boyle made headlines when he stated to reporters that the late Queen should be replaced by an elected leader, and then suggested maybe J.K. Rowling could fit the role. "It's a luxurious spotlight they're under," he said of the royal family under the monarch system. "You can still have a royal family if you like, but actually have an elected head of state." The filmmaker believes the British monarchy will be abolished in his lifetime, but he has applauded the late Queen Elizabeth II for her involvement in a short film Boyle directed for the Olympics. J.K. Rowling as Prime Minister or President is definitely a unique look, but I could see her excelling in the position. What do you think? Colin Firth. An amazing actor and Academy Award winner for Best Acting in The King's Speech, which is ironic because he's against the monarch. Firth told compatriot Piers Morgan on CNN that he enjoyed playing King George, and the actor also had some kind words to say about the work that the then Prince Charles was doing for the country. "I really like voting," Firth said flatly. "It's one of my favorite things. As for unelected bodies, it's a problem for me," Firth said. The actor was also part of the campaign for the United Kingdom to remain part of the European Union, calling the idea of Brexit a disaster of unexpected proportions. He soon after applied to be an Italian citizen, to which I have to say he has great taste. Eddie Izzard. Known across the UK for years as a comedian who appeared on stage and in public in extensive makeup and women's clothing, he has made it publicly noted that he is not an avid royal supporter, which is a bit of a drag, no pun intended. The actor told Metro during press for the film that monarchy doesn't make sense in the 21st century, and said that he wasn't into royalty. This Republican attitude will apparently be central to his bid to become Mayor of London in 2020. "Hereditary privilege is crazy to me," the aspiring politician told The Independent. "We should widen the gene pool and elect a head of state for 5 years." Morrissey, former lead singer of cult 80s band Smiths, has long been considered one of the greatest living Brits. In 2006, he came in at number 2 in the BBC poll, finishing behind veteran broadcaster David Attenborough, but ahead of the Beatles bassist Paul McCartney. "Unfortunately, I came 5th in the pool, but this year it's looking like a podium finish for myself." One list he will always top is famous anti-royalists. "The Queen is Gone" is considered an anti-monarchy anthem, and since going solo, Morrissey's views on the royals have only hardened. The icon told The Telegraph the Queen is the ultimate dictator, claiming that if the British people decide tomorrow that the Queen must go, the Queen wouldn't hesitate to turn her tanks on the British people. It would happen. Morrissey, don't sugarcoat it, man. Do you or don't you like the royals? Tracy Ullman. Apparently she's a comedian, I'm now finding that out, but I'm sure she's funny. The Tracy Ullman Show, which gave birth to The Simpsons, the more you know, debuted in 1987 and made her an instant star stateside. It would be a whopping 30 long years before she returned to British television screens. Despite not being in country for all those years, Ullman has remained vocal about the way the UK is running, An MP once suggested I be put in the Tower of London for saying derogatory things about the royals. There's no First Amendment in my country. I love your Bill of Rights. The actress also said the UK should adopt the bicycling monarch approach taken by other European countries to save money, and that the royals should be able to step down instead of being forced into royal service. Why should they have to? There are loads of people willing. One of those weird cousins, no doubt. Johnny Marr. The main creative talent behind the Smiths were singer-songwriter Morrissey and guitarist Johnny Marr. While the two often disagreed about the direction of the band, they did agree on one thing: a seething resentment for British royalty lording over their homeland. I agree with everything this man says for the simple fact he's got a stare that could turn you to stone. He looks like if Lucifer met Ghost Rider at a $10 wig store, and it's terrifying. So let's all try not to disagree with him, or he may appear in our nightmares. When asked if he'd accept an honor or title from Her Majesty, such as knighthood or being named a member of the Order of the British Empire, Marr empathetically replied, "F no." Makaylah. This English filmmaker is routinely Oscar nominated for his work, which includes quiet dramas, Very Drake, quirky indies, happy-go-lucky, biopics, Mr. Turner, and speculated topsy-turvy. In 2002 interview with The Guardian, Lay called the monarch a ludicrous anachronism. I didn't pronounce that right, but let's forget it. And argued that the hereditary aspect of the monarch is completely untenable and can't be sustained in the 21st century. What are your thoughts on this statement? Noel Gallagher, famous for the song Wonderwall, which if you don't know that song, you suck. It's a masterpiece to say the least. Noel and his brother's band broke up, and since then shade has been thrown. Perhaps the one thing Noel Gallagher hates more than Liam Gallagher: the royal family. A 2000 interview with guitar player recalls that Gallagher once called the royals clowns and called for abolishing the monarchy. Rolling Stones published a quote attributed to the British pop star that falls right in the wheelhouse where angry and wit merge. I wouldn't wish the royal family deceased, just seriously maimed. I'd take a couple of legs off. The Intimate Pistols. The late Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee, a year-long celebration of her 25 years on the throne, on June 7th, a rented boat called the Queen Elizabeth chugged through London down the Thames River with the Intimate Pistols and many other anti-established writers and artists aboard, ostensibly a promotion for their extremely sarcastic second single, God Save the Queen. The stunt also served to preemptively mock the staid Royal River procession planned just days later. As night fell, the Intimate Pistols took the boat's stage and launched into a gleefully vitriolic anarchy in the UK while passing by the Parliament building. As the punk rockers continued with their set, police boats cornered the Queen Elizabeth, power was cut off, and the vessel had to dock. The band's manager reportedly fought with police while the band slipped away into the night and the remaining passengers rioted. It was, to say the least, anarchy in the UK. Hate or love the royals, I would empty my bank account to see that live. That sounds entertaining to say the least. The Beatles. All four of the Beatles were made members of the British Empire, MBE, in 1965, but Lennon returned his honor 4 years later. I'm returning my MBE as a protest against Britain's involvement against our support of America in Vietnam and against cold turkey slipping down the charts. He wrote in a letter, George Harrison, another member of the Beatles, rejected being made an officer of the British Empire in 2000, 3 years after bandmate Paul McCartney was knighted. Honor Blackman. In 2014, she was offered the chance to become CBE, commander of the British Empire, but she turned down the honor. They ring you beforehand to ask if you'd like to accept, and I think they were quite shocked when I declined, she said via Daily Mail. But since I'm a Republican, I thought it would be somewhat hypocritical to pop up to the palace. Not like Sean Connery, who accepted the knighted but never comes here, doesn't pay taxes here, and supported a yes vote in referendum. But I don't think he thinks deeply about politics. Jeremy Corbyn. Corbyn's controversial views on the monarch were made public. He was castigated by the media in 2015 after he refused to sing God Save the Queen during a Battle of Britain memorial event. And in 2017, an old interview was unearthed in which Corbyn called for the royal family to be dissolved. I think it's time we just move on and said, when the Queen completes her reign, wouldn't that just be appropriate time to call it a day and have an elected head of state? Corbyn told the GMTV via The Express. Philip Pullman. Pullman is anti-monarchy because of the personal burden it places on the royal family. No individual and no family should be subjected to the pressure of the public and expectations that have bested the Windsors. Pullman told The Guardian, he particularly lamentates the fate of Prince William, who had no life to look forward to, just a lifetime of prudent intrusions, misery, and unfulfillment. Pullman suggests a part-time monarchy, where a king could have a career of his own choosing and just report for ceremonial duties 4 times a year. Nice work if you can get that. Daniel Radcliffe. When the Daily Beast asked actor Daniel Radcliffe if he was a royalist, he answered no, not at all. I am definitely a Republican in the British sense of the word. I just don't see the use of a monarchy. Though I'm a fierce patriot, I'm proud of being English, but I think the monarchy symbolizes a lot of what's wrong with this country. The actor also added he was one of the many Brits offended by Prince Harry's decision to wear a certain uniform at a fancy costume party in 2005. My dad is Northern Irish and my mom is Jewish, he said. That's working blood. Though I'm not religious in the least, I am very proud to be Jewish. The Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales is not ecstatic about Camilla, the new queen consort. Robert Lacey wrote, when Charles was deployed with the Royal Navy, he left knowing that he wanted to marry Camilla, but he did not have the courage to tell her. Without Charles declaring his love and knowing the realities of royal marriage traditions, Camilla accepted Parker Bowles' proposal. When the news hit Charles, he was obviously devastated. Charles wrote of his sadness to his uncle, Lord Mountbatten, that such a blissful, peaceful, and mutual happy relationship had ended. According to royal biographer Penny Jr., the prince also wrote to Camilla 1 week before the wedding in an attempt to convince her not to marry Andrew. Of course, we do know how this ended, now the queen consort with King Charles, so Andrew is probably, in hindsight, the one who's not too happy with Camilla here. The late Princess Diana. Diana recounted to Andrew Morton that during her honeymoon, she noticed Charles wearing some interesting cufflinks while getting ready for a white tie dinner. The Prince of Wales put on cufflinks that had 2 C's entwined. Diana confronted her then husband, asking, Camilla gave you those, didn't she? The prince responded defensively, yes, so what's wrong? They're a present from a friend. The late Princess Diana knew before she walked down the aisle that Camilla and Prince Charles still had deep feelings for one another, and we obviously know how the story ends. Harry. When the late queen announced that she wanted Camilla to be known as queen consort when Charles took the throne, when in the fullness of my time my son Charles becomes king, I know you will give him and his wife Camilla the same support that you gave me, and it is my sincere wish when that time comes Camilla will be known as queen consort as she continues her own loyal service. She sent a message marking her platinum jubilee. Prince William and Prince Harry's thoughts on Camilla? Well, former Vanity Fair editor Tina Brown recently told Telegraph William has accepted Camilla in terms of what she means to his father. He's grown up about it. My father loves this woman, I can't fight it, so I won't. Harry, on the other hand, can't stand her. He doesn't want Camilla to be a queen. He's very angry that it's happening. He has not made peace with it and probably never will. Meghan. You think that she would have made herself one of Meghan Markle's biggest allies behind the scenes, mostly because she was also in her shoes at one point, but that hasn't happened. Instead, Camilla has kept her social distance from the Duchess before it was even coined a phrase. This has, of course, in return not made Meghan too happy with the queen consort. Jerry Seinfeld. Talk of the monarch started to mount back in 2011 when William and Kate tied the knot. The wedding was a big deal given the prince's position in the line of succession. However, not everyone cared that the pair were getting married, including Jerry Seinfeld. The comedian referred to the whole thing as a circus act, while also calling the royal family a huge game of pretend. He said that people make out as though they're special, but in reality, it's just merely an act. It's fake outfits and phony hats. That's how he put it. Thanks for watching.
Daniel Radcliffe. Everyone's favorite wizard not only has a distaste for Meghan Markle, but dislikes the whole royal family as well. He willingly confessed many times that he doesn't agree on the whole country's appreciation for the royal family. Daniel said that even though he is a patriot by heart, he doesn't understand the need for monarchy. Prince Andrew. After Meghan's much talked about engagement to Prince Harry, she was officially invited to meet the royal family members. While Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were warm and welcoming to the princess, Prince Andrew showcased quite the opposite behavior. A source informed that he portrayed dislike for Meghan compared to the other royal family members, and it was very noticeable. Chrissy Swan. Chrissy Swan, the Australian TV personality, has always been keen on critiquing Meghan Markle. She first opened up about her judgment on her personal Facebook page, which stated that Chrissy could never warm up to Meghan, as she was under the impression that Meghan was just acting her part, that the humility shown by her was performed. Piers Morgan didn't hold back from confessing that Meghan ghosted him. He narrated on an episode of Loose Women that the two became good mates after following each other on Twitter. She messaged him saying, "I'm a massive fan of yours, this is great." They conversed through email from that point onwards and finally met at Wimbledon. Piers asked Meghan to join him at a local pub, to which Meghan happily said yes. They ended up hanging out and spending a few hours together. So when Meghan ghosted him, it was both a shock and an insult for him. Trevor Ingleston. Meghan's ex-husband Trevor most likely kept quiet about his feelings towards his royal ex-wife. However, royal biographer Andrew Morton didn't feel the need to reciprocate this behavior and released a book on Meghan called Meghan, a Hollywood Princess, which portrays Trevor's alleged dislike for his ex-wife. According to the book, Trevor was initially elated about being married to Meghan, but he soon started feeling like dirt in her shoe. Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams has been bitter about Meghan ever since the news of her dating the prince broke out. On her solo show, she said that Meghan's relationship with the prince won't last as there's way too much drama surrounding the former. In 2017, she conveyed to her audience that Meghan is just looking for a game to play, as she seems to be a bit of a wild card. Her snarkiest comment, however, was when she called Meghan a random princess. Kate Middleton. Things never warmed up between Kate and Meghan ever since the beginning. There have been countless speculations about why the two princesses don't get along. Some say that Kate feels ashamed of Meghan's embarrassing wardrobe choices, while others chime in stating that Kate disapproves of Meghan's intimate scenes from Suits. However, the most sensible reason may be that both the girls are eyeing the same prize of being the people's princess. Kate Hopkins. The Daily Mail writer and media personality made it clear that she has no respect for someone like Meghan. Her first move to prove her distaste was when she bashed Meghan for being addicted to Instagram. She was also very vocal when she termed her as an American Kate Middleton and a budget princess with an Oscar-winning innocent face. Erin Foster. Erin Foster is a comedy performer and writer who has a notorious history for blasting several celebrities on Instagram, including Meghan. In the month of November 2017, Erin posted a photo of Meghan from her Deal or No Deal days and captioned it, "Never forget." On another occasion, she posted another image of Meghan holding a briefcase from the same show and added an even more rude caption that read, "This briefcase is filled with my plans to be famous." Lastly, Amy Schumer. No, Amy didn't really say something mean about Meghan Markle straight up, but she didn't hold back on her views when asked about the royal wedding. She made an appearance in the Sydney's Fitzy and Whippo radio show, where she opened up about the downsides of the grand royal affair. During her interview, Amy joked that she finds it funny that poor Meghan's wedding wasn't really hers. On her big day, Meghan had to meet foreign delegates who she never met before and exchange pleasantries with them. Amy also hinted that it must have been the worst wedding for Meghan.
Meghan's sister. Meghan Markle's sister Samantha is furious the Duchess essentially disavowed her family during the Oprah interview and claimed she merely is playing victim for sympathy. Samantha Markle went nuts on the Australian radio show Fifi, Fev and Nick, calling her bluff on Meghan, who told Oprah she had lost her father because of the royal family's pressure. She also compared Prince Harry to a kidnapping victim who's fallen in love with his abductor. As for Meghan's claim to Oprah that she didn't know anything about the royals and their way of life, Samantha claims Meghan studied the UK monarch and even tries to emulate Princess Diana. Samantha added she doesn't think Meghan's embarrassed of her family, and she thinks Meghan was tired of getting busted on stuff in the media, so she started playing victim. I just want to say, out of curiosity of your thoughts, do you think her sister is jealous or being serious in this interview? Piers Morgan. From friends to constantly slandering Meghan, Piers Morgan has made it well known he's not the biggest fan of Meghan. He relentlessly tweets about her, quit his job at Good Morning Britain after they asked him to apologize for saying he didn't believe a word she talked about having depressing thoughts, and has now made borderline threatening remarks towards her as he starts his new position as a columnist on The Sun. Pushy little Princess Pinocchio tried her utmost to cancel me, he said. Is Piers overreacting to Meghan incident, or after being ghosted, is he in the right to try and take her down? That was sarcasm. You got ghosted, Piers. Move on, mate. Emily Giffin. I don't think there is a soul in the world that hates Meghan Markle or anyone more than Emily Giffin, and honestly, it's sad. Emily has for years diminished Meghan and has been accused of her hate as racially motivated. I don't like spreading hate on these videos because they are